Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be looking at some really interesting trends in Polish retail. We've got this report here called Retail Index Deck, Poland, October 2024. And it's just packed with data about this market. Get ready for some surprises along the way because we've got some pretty interesting findings to share.
Yeah, the Polish retail scene is, well, it's a bit of a puzzle right now. There's a lot of growth in some areas, but also some unexpected dips in others.
Exactly. For example, let's talk about Polish e-commerce. The report highlights that Poland actually has one of the lowest in-app ad revenue shares globally.
Even lower than Ghana.
Wow. That's a surprising comparison. What factors do you think might contribute to such a low ad revenue share in Poland, especially considering their increasing smartphone usage?
That's a good question. It could be that Polish consumers are just really sensitive to privacy concerns, or maybe there's a lack of awareness about the potential of in-app advertising among businesses. It's definitely an area that warrants further investigation.
Yeah, definitely something for businesses to consider if they're trying to reach Polish consumers. Now, here's where things get interesting. The report shows that overall economic sentiment in Poland is actually quite positive. It even surpasses the EU average. But when you look at the Retail Confidence Index, it's telling a different story. It's dipped into negative territory.
Exactly, and that's a key takeaway for anyone interested in this market. It suggests that, well, although people are generally optimistic about the economy, they're still hesitant when it comes to actually spending.
So there's a disconnect between feeling confident and actually opening up their wallets. I wonder if that's reflected in the actual retail sales numbers.
It is, yeah. Retail sales in Poland took an unexpected downturn in September 2024, declining by 3% year on year.
Wow, that's significant. And it was predicted to actually rise, right?
Yes, the market prediction was a 2.1% increase. It seems the decline was primarily driven by drops in fuel, food and beverage sales.
But hold on, we were just talking about the potential of Polish e-commerce. Is it possible that people are shifting their spending online? Could that explain the dip in traditional retail sales?
That's a great point, and the data does support that theory. E-commerce in Poland is experiencing some really strong growth. In September, the gross merchandise value, or GMV, increased by 24.2% year on year.
Yeah.
And the main driver, a significant increase in the number of online orders.
So while physical stores might be seeing a slowdown, Polish consumers are clearly still shopping. They're just doing it more and more from their computers and phones.
Precisely. And this trend is only going to continue.
Absolutely. Speaking of online shopping, we can't ignore the upcoming Black Friday frenzy. The report shows that searches for Black Friday and Black Week are skyrocketing in Poland.
Yeah, it's interesting considering we're talking about cautious spenders. It seems like they're ready to pounce on a good deal, though.
They are, and there's even this intriguing trend called Fake Friday, where searches for Black Friday deals actually spike a whole week before the actual event.
I know, crazy.
Wow, so Polish consumers are not only deal savvy, they're also eager to get a head start. But here's another piece of the puzzle that doesn't quite fit. The report states that consumer confidence actually rose in September, reaching positive territory for the first time this year. Yet planned purchases across most categories have actually decreased.
It's another fascinating contradiction. It seems that while Polish consumers are feeling more optimistic about the general economy, they're still hesitant to commit to larger purchases.
It seems like this uncertainty might be causing them to hold back, even if they are feeling more confident overall. What do you make of that?
Well, it's a complex situation, and there are likely multiple factors at play here. It's possible that concerns about inflation, geopolitical instability, or even, personal financial situations are causing this disconnect between sentiment and actual spending behavior.
So Polish consumers are a complex bunch. What can you tell us about the typical Polish online shopper? Do we have like a profile?
We do. According to the data, they tend to be city dwellers, highly educated, and financially comfortable. They also have a very positive view of online shopping, seeing it as easy, fast, and offering a wider selection than traditional brick-and-mortar stores.
It sounds like the ideal e-commerce customer. But are there any challenges for businesses trying to reach these consumers?
Absolutely. Polish businesses are facing several hurdles, including rising labor costs, intense market competition, and in some cases, insufficient demand.
So even in this like booming e-commerce landscape, there are challenges. It's like a constant balancing act for Polish businesses. They're trying to, capitalize on this growth while also navigating these rising costs and the stiff competition.
Yeah, it really is. And it's driving some interesting innovations, too. We're seeing companies adopt new technologies and strategies to streamline operations and really enhance that customer experience.
I see. So they're having to get creative. Speaking of innovations, I'm curious about what's driving this surge in e-commerce beyond just the, convenience factor. Are there any particular categories or products that are really taking off online in Poland?
One of the most significant trends highlighted in the report is the growth of mobile commerce, or mem commerce as it's often called. Polish consumers are increasingly comfortable using their smartphones for everything, from browsing to purchasing. You might find this interesting, but in August 2024, furniture, RTV, and household appliances actually accounted for 16% of all online sales.
Wow, that's huge. That's a big jump for items that people traditionally wanted to see and touch before buying. But while some categories are booming, others are struggling. The report mentions significant drops in online sales for motor vehicles and pharmaceuticals. Any insights into why those sectors might be lagging behind?
It's likely a combination of factors. For motor vehicles, it could be that consumers still prefer the traditional experience, visiting a dealership, test driving a car, and interacting with a salesperson. It's a big purchase. And there's still a level of trust and assurance that comes with that in-person experience. As for pharmaceuticals, there could be concerns about the authenticity and safety of medications purchased online. Regulation and consumer trust play a significant role in that sector.
That makes sense. But even with those dips, the overall trend is clear. E-commerce is gaining momentum. And the report mentioned that nearly 80% of Polish internet users are already shopping online. With such high penetration, I'm wondering where the room for future growth might be.
That's a great question. While the overall penetration is high, there are still some untapped segments within the Polish market. For example, older demographics and those in rural areas haven't fully embraced e-commerce yet. There's significant potential to expand into those groups.
So bringing those demographics into the digital fold could be the next big opportunity for e-commerce growth in Poland.
Interesting. But what about those who are already shopping online? Are they spending more per purchase? Or are we just seeing a shift from offline to online buying without any real increase in spending overall?
That's where it's crucial to look beyond just the number of orders and consider the average basket value. If that's declining, it suggests that consumers might be making more frequent, but smaller purchases online. It could be indicative of changing shopping habits.
So more browsing, more impulse buys, maybe. It seems like understanding those nuanced shifts in behavior is just as important as tracking the overall sales numbers.
Absolutely. And that's where data on search trends and shopping intent becomes incredibly valuable. For instance, the report points out a significant drop in searches for real estate and motor vehicles in September 2024, which aligns with that dip in overall retail sales we talked about earlier, right? Fewer people seem interested in big-ticket items. But what about those, shopping intent categories? What are people actively looking for online?
Interestingly, in September 2024, there was a significant decline in searches for loans and cheap products compared to the previous year. This could point to growing financial concerns among Polish consumers. Despite the rise in overall consumer confidence we discussed earlier,
It's that disconnect we keep seeing. People might feel positive about the economy as a whole, but are still wary about their own personal financial situations.
exactly. And that's why it's so important for businesses to go beyond general economic indicators and truly understand the specific concerns, motivations,
Yeah.
and anxieties of their target audience.
Absolutely. Speaking of target audiences, our report highlights the demographics of the typical Polish online shopper. As you mentioned earlier, it's generally city dwellers, those with higher education levels, and those who are financially comfortable.
That's right. This underscores the importance of crafting marketing and advertising campaigns that resonate with these specific groups. They're the driving force behind Poland's e-commerce boom.
But let's not forget about those businesses facing challenges. We've touched on rising labor costs and fierce competition. Can you elaborate on some of the innovative solutions and strategies you mentioned earlier? Are Polish businesses finding ways to thrive despite these headwinds?
They are. We're seeing a growing trend of adopting technology to streamline operations and improve customer experience. Many companies are investing heavily in e-commerce platforms, mobile apps, and personalized marketing tools.
So it's about working smarter, not harder, using technology to maximize efficiency and really focus on what the customer wants.
That's a great way to put it. And this approach seems to be paying off for many Polish businesses.
It's encouraging to see that level of adaptability.
Mhm.
Now, taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture, what do you think the future holds for Polish retail?
It's clear that Poland has a dynamic retail sector with a lot of potential. E-commerce is undoubtedly the driving force behind much of the growth. But businesses need to be savvy, adaptable, and customer-centric to truly succeed. They have to stay ahead of these evolving trends and consumer behaviors.
Absolutely. I'm also curious about these contradictions we've been discussing. What do you think they reveal about the Polish consumer? What does it mean for businesses navigating this market?
These contradictions are fascinating, aren't they? They really are. They show that Polish consumers are becoming, well, increasingly discerning and informed. They're carefully weighing their options, looking for value, and demanding a more personalized experience.
Yeah, it seems like it's not just about price anymore. Polish consumers are looking at the whole package.
Exactly. They're not just simply responding to those traditional marketing messages. They're doing their research, they're comparing prices, reading reviews, and seeking out brands that align with their values.
So how can businesses adapt to these evolving expectations? How can they, capture the attention of these savvy Polish shoppers?
Well, it requires a bit of a shift in mindset, moving away from a product-centric approach to one that's truly customer-centric. It's about building relationships, fostering trust, and creating a sense of community.
So less about shouting at consumers with ads and more about, engaging in a genuine conversation with them.
Precisely. And that's where technology can play a vital role. Data analytics can provide those invaluable insights into consumer behavior, preferences, and pain points. And social media platforms offer opportunities for two-way communication, allowing businesses to listen to their customers, respond to their concerns, and really build those authentic connections.
It seems like Polish businesses need to become, anthropologists, studying the intricate behaviors and motivations of their target consumer.
I love that analogy
Uh,
because at the end of the day, it's about understanding that human element. What makes people tick? What are their aspirations, their fears, their dreams? Tap into that and you have a winning formula.
and that formula applies to any market, not just Poland.
Absolutely. The principles are universal. However, what makes Poland so fascinating right now is that it's a market in transition. It's a microcosm of these global trends playing out in real time.
So for businesses operating in or considering entering the Polish market, what's the key takeaway from all of this?
Well, Poland offers a market, I'd say, brimming with opportunity, but it requires a nuanced approach. Businesses need to be agile, adaptable, and willing to embrace change. They need to prioritize the customer experience, leverage technology effectively, and really build those authentic relationships with their target audience.
So much great insight in this report. It's been a real deep dive into Polish retail trends, and it's definitely given us all a lot to think about. E-commerce is booming, but the market is full of contradictions and complexities.
It's certainly a dynamic landscape, one that we'll continue to watch with great interest.
Well, thanks for guiding us through this. It's been fascinating.
My pleasure.
And for our listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Polish retail. We hope you found it valuable.